and welcome to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. I am your host, Sam Randazzo. And a quick shout out into the chat to PJ off the rip. This is a Dennis Gardak safe space, isn't it, Uncle Sam?
I don't know what that means.
You'll have to tell me what that means.
Big Dennis Gardak day yesterday, wasn't it? Anyways, welcome to another episode. I am joined by my two absolutely ecstatic co-hosts. To my right, it is the one, the only, Uncle Sam.
Hello.
And to my left, it is none other than our very own Mr. Zolo, Mike Palazzolo.
Blessed.
Listen to me. You love Dennis Gardak. I open with Dennis Gardak just for you, and you don't give me anything.
He had a fucking great game yesterday, by the way.
I knew that's why he's in there talking about it. Dennis, you're a big Dennis Gardak guy.
Yeah.
You got to give him his props when he has a game like that. Come on.
Hey, I just did. Hello.
Behind the computer, making us all sound halfway decent, as always, absolutely coding his own goo, it is Bruce the Tugboat Venditti.
Howdy.
I'm just learning what a Dennis
Hold on.
Gardak.
Why were you only on there? You got to keep yourself on there longer. Let
What?
the people appreciate. Look into the camera.
Let them
look
see
straight into
goo
the camera.
coating.
Look at all that goo. My
There's a lot of goo.
a lot of goo, man.
Dennis Gardak is a linebacker for the Cardinals.
Yes, he is. He had a great day yesterday, Dennis Gardak.
Is he on one of your teams?
No, Uncle Sam is just, you know those people that Uncle Sam hones in on? Dennis Gardak is one of those people that Uncle Sam is honed in on.
He had a great day on that fucking left tackle. I was trying to block Aiden Hutchinson a week prior.
At some point today, the comparison will be made between Aiden Hutchinson and Dennis Gardak, and Uncle Sam will find a way to tell you that Dennis Gardak plays harder than Aiden Hutchinson.
It's good. It gets us views.
Anyways, we had a big week too. It was a big week of football. A lot of surprises this weekend. A lot of surprises. I have a lot of things I have to own up to. I'm ready to do so. I'm ready to admit defeat on a few things. I'm ready to sit here and tell you that the New Orleans Saints are for real. And I'm a man of my word, because I said if they at least gave the Cowboys a game, I would do that. And they did a lot more than give Cowboys the game. They gave them the head, the shaft, and the balls all together, all at once.
They literally ass punched Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones gaped right now.
Do we want to go right there?
We have a little bit of news to get into. We have a touch of news. Before that, how was everyone's weekend? Zolo, how was your weekend? The people care about it.
Nobody gives a fuck how our weekend was.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They always care about your weekend. You kidding me?
My weekend was good. I didn't do anything of substance.
How was the game?
Game was, it was frustrating to watch, but it was good. Vibes were good. Would you say vibes were good, Darius?
Vibes were good.
I went to Bar Pagal for brunch beforehand.
Did you? What'd you get?
I got a croque madame. It was good. Ooh. Yeah.
Is that the one with the egg or without the egg?
Croque madame it's egg, sourdough bread, some sort of ham, some sort of pork, and then Mornay sauce.
Because I know there's a croque monsieur
Yeah.
that doesn't have the egg.
Totally different thing.
That's the way I always go, because I don't do eggs.
But they have good quiche, the whole nine. It's all there.
It was a top tier brunch.
I think it's the best brunch in town at the moment.
Dan in the chat says that he cares about our weekend, Uncle Sam. He cares. How was your weekend?
Great.
Any high points, low points, pits, peaks?
No.
That's it?
Moving on.
Bruce, how was your weekend? What did you do this weekend?
Moving on. Golfed a little bit.
Got a
Watched-
nice tea time in on Saturday morning?
I did.
You did?
Played terrible.
How'd you swing?
Terrible.
You did?
Yeah.
We all fucked up?
No.
No. Wow. Bruce had a sober round of golf. Can you
I
believe
don't
that?
believe that at all.
I don't either.
I had 4 beers. That's about it.
Just a quick 4 beers, 18 holes. Was it 18?
It was 18.
It was a full 18. He played a full 18 on Saturday. Whatever. Anyways, you sure you don't have anything to add about your weekend? The people, this is a bonding time for us and the people. So they feel like they know
I don't want
you.
to bond with anybody. Just fucking let's go.
That's it, eh?
Yes.
Ready to go.
Let's go.
Ready and raring to go. That's fine. If you want to do that, we'll do that. Let's get straight into the news then. Big piece of news today out of Carolina. The Panthers, which many, if you're in the Twitterverse, have claimed is the biggest dumpster fire in professional sports right now. Could very well be the case. They essentially traded away everybody of relevance on their team to the Chicago Bears for last year's first-round pick. Used it on Bryce Young, and in just the second game of his second season, have benched him in favor of Andy Dalton. Uncle Sam, you're a big Dalton guy. Your thoughts off the rip?
They should have played him from the beginning.
It's the return of the red rifle.
They should have played him from the beginning and got this kid along. I mean, they're not talented enough to even really fucking for this kid to be successful.
By the beginning, do you mean last year or like?
Correct.
Got it.
Correct.
So you think they should have took their time easing Bryce
I
Young
think
in?
so.
I mean, they
think
threw him to
so.
the Wolves
But
last year. They
The
did.
pressure's so on for them to win some ball games because basically they fucked the draft up that they took him in. So the pressure's so on, and that Tepper guy is the biggest jerk off beside Jerry Jones that there is.
Is he the new Dan Snyder, David Tepper?
Yeah, I think
no,
right now.
I don't think
Dude,
he's
he
Dan
is.
Snyder.
He was
No.
throwing drinks at people last year. He didn't know how to run a team.
Well,
Dude, they were selling tickets to that game for $1.50 yesterday. $1.50. You could have went to the Panthers game.
They are what they are, dude. They're just depleted talent wise, and it's gonna take them some time to get out of the fucking hole, dude.
I have a question for you guys.
Go ahead.
Someone, I don't think of it this way, but someone brought up a really good point. Is this a Panthers problem or a Bryce Young problem? Because I'll tell you why. You look at what Baker Mayfield's doing right now. You look at what Sam Darnold's doing right now. Is this an issue with the Panthers first and foremost? Or can Bryce Young be fixed? Or is this, we got to move on? I don't think a change of scenery is going to do Bryce Young any good. I think he's toast, whatever. What do you guys think about that?
Personally, for me, I think it's a Panthers.
It's a Panthers problem.
It's a Panthers problem.
It's a Panthers problem.
Again, like you watched it. I mean, if we stop and think about it, the situations that Baker went to, is it more talented than Carolina? Probably slightly, but at the end of the day, he's led playoff teams. The Panthers right now they can't even sniff the playoffs. They can't sit the seat that the playoffs are sitting on. I mean, same thing. Sam Darnold looked like he looked really fucking good yesterday. And they couldn't get it done with either of those
I
guys.
didn't think Sam Darnold looked bad when he was in Carolina.
But they were bad. They were
chose-
bad.
They chose to move on.
This is the problem with Carolina is they brought in a quarterback who is undersized, who isn't your prototypical pocket pat, who needed some time. And they threw him to the Wolves, and they don't have anybody there coaching-wise that can develop him, and they don't have any talent around him, so he looks really, really bad right now. I don't think Bryce Young's that bad. I really don't. But I just don't think that Carolina has the pieces and the people necessary to ever get him above of where they are right now. So you'll throw Dalton in there. They'll win, 2-3 games this year if they're lucky? If they're lucky?
The NFL, dude. It's the NFL.
What does that mean?
Anybody can beat anybody any week.
Yeah, but
If there's any proof of that, you saw it this weekend.
listen, the Panthers are a 2-3 win team, man.
Okay.
If at their best. At their best.
They should be better than they were last year, though, and they look
just
worse.
not.
Like, I love their staff. I love Dave
At what point
Canales.
does Canales, if they go 0-6, 0-7, is he gone?
No, fuck no.
You really don't think so?
You can't keep as a franchise. We would be going 3 years in a row that they fire a coach.
They're
a year
what
in.
the Lions were before Dan Campbell stepped in here.
It's at some point it can't be on the head coach for what's going on. At some point it's got to be a depletion of talent, and it's just a poorly run organization. That
I mean, they
needs to
tore it
wholesale
down.
Change.
They tore it down, and they still can't build it back up.
I mean, the only talent they have, they got some veterans that their best years are behind them.
Yeah,
And they got super young guys that are still trying to learn how to be pros.
Yeah, kind of got to feel bad. in
That's
way
not
for Bryce Young.
that's not a good recipe.
You kind of got to feel bad for him. You do. The Rams, who looked absolutely fucking terrible yesterday. We will get to that. But they put Puka Nacua on IR after last week's game. Cooper Kupp now out for, quote unquote, an extended period of time. That's just not good. No. Not good at all. They have offensive linemen that are banged up. You have no Puka Nacua. Now you have no Cooper Kupp. I mean, who's there? Demarcus Robinson? That's going to be the guy for Stafford now?
Yeah.
Well, him and Tutu
Tutu Atwell, the revival of Tutu Atwell.
the ghost of Tutu Atwell.
I'll say this: that was, in my opinion, not only the game yesterday, but the cup injury. That was the final blow that I think they could take. I don't know if it's recoverable. The Puka thing was recoverable. I don't know if yesterday's game plus the Cooper Cup loss is recoverable for them. And I know it's really early to say that, but that's big. That's really big. Yesterday, after the game, the Chiefs announced that Isaiah Pacheco fractured his fibula. He will miss anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. Kareem Hunt is working out for them tomorrow. A blast from the past there. Started his career in Kansas City. Could be big for them, I think.
Creamed cunt.
I think he'll be able to carry the load until you see Pacheco come back. I think that could be big for them. Miami signed a Pro Bowl quarterback today. Snoop Huntley. Tyler Huntley, they probably needs a week to get ready, so you'll probably see Skylar Thompson this week. But Snoop Huntley signed by the Miami Dolphins today. Do you think that leads anybody to believe that Tua could be missing at least a decent chunk of time? Or do you think that was just...
Oh, they're going to hold him out at least probably 3 weeks.
See, I'm thinking more.
No.
I don't think it's a hold him out thing. I'm with Uncle Sam. I don't think it's a hold him out thing. I think when Tua's ready to play, it sounds like he wants to come back, but it doesn't work that way. There's a baseline that concussion people have to get to, and he's got to get to his baseline, and I think he's going to come back when he hits his baseline. I think he's going to come right back. I don't think he has any intentions of not playing. I think this is totally precautionary. I imagine that when Tua gets cleared, he comes back not long after that. I don't know if it's going to be 3 weeks.
I think it's going to be 2 months.
I
think you're going to see 8 weeks.
Regardless, I think he's
it'll be
going
a
to come
couple
back.
weeks.
I think he's going to come back regardless. I think he'll be back at some point.
Do we like the outlook of the Miami Dolphins with Tyler Huntley more so than Skylar Thompson?
Well, he's played more football than Thompson. So.
But Thompson's been in that system, so I feel like I like Thompson. Like Thompson at least got them. He didn't get them to the playoffs, but he played serviceable in some meaningful games.
Yeah.
Wasn't it snowing like crazy in the Dolphins Bills game that Skylar Thompson played in? It's really shitty timing for the Dolphins, who already had this crazy rash of injuries. I feel for Tua. I hope he comes back.
Nobody's had more injuries than fucking
Rams.
the Rams.
The Rams are decimated.
Rams are fucking dead.
Off the rip.
Dude.
Real quick, I want to jump backwards for 1 second, back to the Bryce Young thing. I know there's obviously a lot more here with Bryce Young, but for the record, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, so far through 2 games for each of them, 6 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. So when we talk about getting thrown to the Wolves, there's 3 guys so far who've got thrown to the Wolves. And yes,
I don't think you can go by that because I think the talent levels on those teams are vastly different.
absolutely, I agree. I think that at least the Bears,
Even
the
Denver,
Commanders,
well, the Bears are probably the most talented out of all the ones you just said.
yes, I agree.
And then I would say probably the Redskins,
Yeah.
and then Denver. And those teams have veteran coaches now, except for Eberflus. And you're seeing the product of it.
Yeah. Just getting thrown to the Wolves. Maybe it's not the best scenario.
Here's the problem is I think people saw what Stroud did last year and how he came out just firing.
And everybody thought that.
And everyone thinks that that's the norm. And Andrew Luck is the norm. Like, that's not the norm. It takes a long time to get these quarterbacks going. I said it before we picked week 1 with Caleb Williams. I think he's going to be very good. They don't come out off the rip good. Like, it's just not how it works.
Well, I mean, and I guess the other side of this coin, and I'm willing to admit that I was wrong. Look at New England. They didn't throw Drake May to the Wolves. They started Jacoby Brissett, who's a veteran.
They're still going with Brissett.
Who's not that who I personally don't think is all that talented. And they won their first game at Cincinnati and then gave Seattle literally everything they had in overtime yesterday. So that may be the right route going forward, is you got to give these guys some time to acclimate before you just throw them in there.
Look at Will Levis. Will Levis has actually played pretty well, but he's cost them fucking 2 games.
Correct.
With stupid mistakes right at the end of the game.
True.
No, he's got to clean that shit up.
True.
Because they could have won that game easily too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bruce, Zolo's 5 things, please.
Okay, thing number one, it's easy. We're all going to be in agreement on this. There's a lot. I think the blame has been focalized at like one or two people. I think there's a lot of blame to go around. But thing number one is that the mismanagement at the end of the first half cost them the game. We're all in agreement there, right?
Correct. I agree.
It's not the main thing that it is the main thing that cost them the game. It's amongst many things that cost them the game, right?
Yes. That to me is paramount.
And it wasn't just the gaff, the whatever do we even know what happened? So obviously field goal unit comes out on the field as they're snapping the ball. Too many men on the field. 12 men, 10-second runoff. Fine, I understand that, but why was that happening? Do we know that? Do we know why that happened?
We didn't really get an explanation post game.
He said there was a conversation that he can't share. He said that at the half, supposedly. It wasn't just that though. The 2-minute drill, which was good, by the way. The management of the clock in the 2-minute drill, if you go back and look at it, was atrocious.
Awful.
The
I noticed
use
that
of the
right away.
timeouts was bad. There was one when they called their second timeout, they waited 10 seconds to call it, and they were bailed out by an injury to, I think it was Yaya Diaby, which caused that you got a free timeout out of that. It's on your head coach. It's on Goff. It's on St. Brown. When St. Brown, like that throw shouldn't have been to the middle of the field with 15 seconds left.
No.
That was bad. Throw it to the end zone. And just everything went wrong in that sequence, up to and including like good on Campbell for being accountable, because that's why they lost the game. You have those 2 field goals, you win the game.
Yep.
Thing number 2, we're also going to be in lockstep on this. Uncle Sam, you're going to love this. Ben Johnson is not in his fucking bag right now.
No.
He is not in his bag. I do think the offense was improved. You can't argue with 463 yards. You can't argue with all the red zone issues. You can diagnose this problem, though. They're 1 for 7 in the red zone. It's that simple. It's that simple. And Goff threw the ball 55 times. You ran 85 plays, and Goff threw the ball 55 times. Now, if that number was Montgomery and Gibbs ran the ball 55 times and they lost, I would feel much better.
So would I.
I would feel much better. I think there's an issue, which is thing number 3. I think there's an issue with the interior of the offensive line right now. I think Ragnow, who was their lowest graded player on offense, even lower than Goff yesterday, I think Ragnow is very banged up. I think he's getting bodied. He was getting bodied by Vita Vea yesterday until he left the game. And last week, it was clearly evident that they didn't want to run the ball up the middle of the field. I think that's a problem. If Ragnow is not healthy, that's not good. Or if Ragnow has lost a step, that's not good, because that's affecting the play calling. You are at your best when Montgomery and Gibbs are running through the A, B, and C gaps.
Could not for the life of me, after the overtime win in week 1, understand why what won them the game in week 1, they didn't try to do whatsoever in week 2. Could not for the life of me understand why Montgomery was not just pounding the rock on that last drive.
I think he's scared. And there was no excuse. After Vita Vea went out, there was no excuse not to do
try
that.
it.
Every time Goff dropped back on first down, I would gag. Like my heart would sink. Even if it's effective. Like some of the looks were great on first down. Even if it's effective and you're making plays, like that's not what you do.
No.
That's not your
Not
your
their
MO.
football, man.
And especially like one of the things this team did so well last year is when they were in these rock fights, and this was a rock fight yesterday. When they were in these rock fights, they would control the tempo of the game by running the ball. Run the fucking football. There's no excuse. Run the ball. And what they do so well is when you run the ball effectively, like you're in second and manageable, when it's third and manageable, when it's third and short every time, you could do whatever you want offensively. You could run the ball, you can throw the quick slant, you could do whatever you want. But when you're throwing the ball, like when you're not converting on first down and you're not getting the chunk play, it affects the entire rest of the sequence in the play calling. And I just think they need to get back. Like it's simple. Like it's bad, and I'm pissed, but also at the same time, like it's a simple fix. Like you could diagnose all this, and you could fix it.
Yeah, you need to go back to their identity.
Do you think they know that?
Here's
It's that simple.
a thing that you've seen happen in New Orleans: identity. When you have an identity, then you fucking go to that and you stay with it. Don't try to fix what's not broke.
If it ain't broke, don't break
And
it.
exactly. And that's the problem. The problem is they need to line up the ball and punch people in the mouth. Dan Campbell talks about being grit and bite kneecaps. And it's time to fucking stop being a pussy and fucking run the football. Run it down their fucking throat till they stop it. Then your play action works, everything else works. The whole field opens up.
What's your
Yeah, I'm tired of fucking watching it. It's the same Ben Johnson bullshit calls. Fucking, except now it's through 3/4 of the game instead of fucking 2.
Two things. One, do you think that everybody that needs to realize that realizes that?
Yes.
You don't think there's a question?
From what I understand, by all accounts, Ben Johnson is the hardest working human being in that building. And on Tuesdays, he's in that building for 20 hours getting ready to prep and install for the next 2 days. I think no one realizes that more than Ben Johnson. Now, there could be things we don't know, like the Laporta thing, which I believe in. I'm watching. Are you seeing it? Sam Laporta's limping off the field a lot of the time. Keep your eyes peeled. Sam Laporta's limping off the field. That would explain why they're not using him properly. I think Amon-Ra's banged up. It sounds like he's going to play next week, so that's fine. I think Ragnow is banged up. I don't want to make excuses for these guys.
I mean, because Tampa does have a nice run defense. They got a nice center, a nice middle of that defense. But to completely,
But they were out.
but to completely
They were
change
out.
your
They're
game,
not
I know.
Clancy didn't
Clancy-
play.
Yep, Elijah
Clancy
Cansey
didn't
was
play.
out
Fuck.
and Vita Vea left.
Yeah.
But to completely scheme
Right, there's no excuse.
away from that, the only other thing that I note, it became so predictable at one point that I was like, oh, they're gonna he's gonna throw a screen pass to Gibbs or he's gonna dump off to Gibbs. It was just, it got so, especially at the end of the game, I felt like it was so predictable.
Yep.
Tampa knew what was coming. They knew they weren't gonna
Todd
run that
Bowles.
ball at him.
Todd Bowles, an old defense coordinator, don't think he doesn't know how to scheme for teams.
True.
And they played Detroit enough to know what to take away. So anybody surprised by that shouldn't be.
No. If anyone was surprised by yesterday at all, because you and I said
I
it
bet
on
you
Friday.
Todd Bowles was the one surprised that they kept trying to go to it after they were taking it away constantly. I bet you he was the one that was probably expecting to get run on, and it didn't happen.
And that played right into his
backfired.
hand.
Yeah,
It played right into his hand. You and I said this on Friday. 7.5 points was a lot, and then I also brought up that beating a team 3 times in a year is
Very hard.
extremely difficult. So I'm not shocked at what happened. Something I want to add on the play calling and the dropbacks. The one that Goff completely threw away in the red zone, the second interception. Obviously, the first interception was bullshit. It was a missed PI and they missed JMO, but it doesn't negate the fact that he also almost threw the ball away in 2 other instances. Like he could have
Yeah,
had 4
he should have had
interceptions.
fucking 4 picks.
He could have.
Yeah.
The one that he threw the ball away though at the goal line.
Yeah.
On that place, again, I think there's an issue at the interior of the line. Goff was pressured. He was hurried 10 times yesterday, which is not, like, by all accounts, that's by far the worst number in this era for this offensive line. And on that play in particular, Levante David made a beautiful, it was a delayed blitz up the middle, and credit to Gibbs. Gibbs picked it up, but it was already too late because the protection was breaking down in the middle, and there's only so much that Gibbs can do. So Goff's half on his ass throwing the ball away. He missed a read to Tim Patrick on the right side. It looked like he was wide open in the end zone. I think that there's more, like, again, there's a lot of blame to go around. Goff's decision-making, if something's off with him, you need to hone it in. The play calling, if something's off, you need to hone it in. If something is wrong with the interior of the offensive line, that needs to be diagnosed, and that needs to be, like, that's your bread and butter. And that affects how the plays are called. So I'm keeping an eye on it. That's all. I'm keeping an eye on it.
His last 2 games are the worst games that he's played
You're talking Goff.
since he first came here.
You're talking about Goff,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, his rating was the lowest since it was lower than the Bears
It
game
was-
last year.
He's looked worse in these last 2 games. It looked like when he first came here.
I don't disagree.
That's where he's at right now.
I don't disagree.
I don't know what it is. Not going to say.
I think it's
know.
Ben
I'm not
Johnson.
gonna-
I think it's Ben Johnson. I think it's the play calling and the
he has a
offensive
lot to do
line.
with it.
Because a lot of when Goff is going at its best, it's because everything around him is also going well. It's also falling
what
into
you need to
place.
do.
And he's just assuming that things are falling into place, and they're not falling into place right now. Between the play calling not falling into place, between the drops and the protection. So I'm with you. It's I know what you're saying. Thing number 4, there's still positives to take away. I think the defense is actually really good. I think the defense, it got better as the game went on yesterday. You held them to under 300 yards. And that's like, of course, they got the great touchdown to Godwin when it mattered. But when they needed to get stops yesterday, it was really good. And I'm not just talking about the Aiden Hutchinson thing. Like, obviously, he was a monster. Reeder comes back. Look what that does for Hutchinson.
I know. Opened him right up.
It was insane. But like, even like the secondary, it wasn't, in the first half, it wasn't great at all. But as soon as
I actually thought they played pretty well.
in the second half, the secondary was
Terry
outstanding.
Arnold's pass interference call was bullshit.
That was bullshit too.
That was garbage.
That was bullshit too.
If you want to call contact at about the 5-yard line, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as them, I've seen a lot worse plays
Mm-hmm.
to be PI.
He had Mike Evans for most of the game yesterday, and he held his own, especially as the game went on. And he was injured. He hurt his finger. And same with Carlton Davis. I thought Carlton Davis had a great
really
game.
nice game. Yeah.
And same thing here. I think the defense, like a couple things here, and they're like, how's it going to look when Melifonwu comes back, and you can move Brian Branch into the slot and have him do whatever he wants, and you have 3 safeties on the field essentially. Like, things could only go up for the defense. I thought it looked really good.
You know what's actually nice for once? And we didn't do this at all last year. We're complaining about the offense right now and
Well,
praising
the
the
defense held them in that game yesterday.
The defense.
They had to stand on their head fucking 3 times to hell.
They got every stop they needed to.
This is the best we've ever seen the Lions defense.
Hutchinson,
Hands down.
key moments of the game, he had key sacks. That's
At-
what good players do.
At least 2 of the sacks were on third down, which is
were.
yeah, you can't really
You
can't
were
really
on
knock
third down when it counts, and I'm good with that. You know,
So you brought up a really good point, and that's thing number 5, because him and I were arguing yesterday, and I want to hear what he has to say over there. I am concerned. I am not worried. This is the Seattle loss from last year,
100%.
except it's to a better team.
Correct.
And not only that, the problems I think are diagnosable and they're fixable. So Seattle last year, you came off that high win against Kansas City on the road, and then you come home and you take a shit against Seattle, and you get what? They get 1 stop or 2 stops the entire game?
Their defense allowed 37 points last year in that Seattle game.
Okay, and then we came out on the Monday following. People were panicking.
Yep.
No, this team can't be good. They went out, and Aaron Glenn diagnosed the problems. Here's the problem: the pass rushers need to finish, and they need to stay in their lanes. They went out and they won, I think, 3 or 4 in a row. They were what, 5-1 going into Baltimore
they
last
need
year?
to stay in their fucking lanes coming this week.
Yeah. Oh,
They get out of
100%.
their fucking lanes, they're gonna get torched.
I'm not worried about the defense this week. Kyler Murray's going to beat you one way or another. You can only hope to contain him. I'm not worried about that. So it's the same with the offense. I think, if anything, I feel better over last
do
year
I.
because, number one, you lost to a really good team. I think Tampa is good no matter how you spin it. I think Tampa is
They
very
play
good.
2 playoff teams to start the year.
Exactly. By the way, piggybacking off of that, there's 4 teams in NFL history that started their schedule by playing 2 playoff teams. All 4 of them went on to win went on to the Super Bowl. Only one of them lost the
Only
Super
one of
Bowl.
them lost.
Only one of them lost the Super Bowl. All of these problems, like with the pass rush last year, the pieces weren't in house. They were missing some things, which sucked. You know, like they were talent depleted on defense. So the defense got better throughout the year last year, even though they didn't have the pieces. All of the pieces to succeed offensively are here. I think all of the problems are diagnosable. Like, no matter how you spin it, the offense was better yesterday than it was
You
the
got to say
previous
that
Sunday.
the defense played pretty well too without
Did.
Anzalone.
It did.
Without
Yeah,
the cap?
exactly.
They actually played pretty
Campbell, Derek Barnes is their best linebacker, and Campbell came in yesterday and held his own in the Anzalone role because that's the role he's best in, as the Mike linebacker.
Right.
I think all these problems are fixable. Like, it's that simple. You need to finish in the red zone. You finish in the red zone one time out of those 6 that they missed yesterday, you win the game.
I'm just tired of seeing them try to get cute. I'm fucking tired of it.
Well, there's a time and a place. There's a time and a place.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, I think if they would have lined that ball up and started really laying on that defense, they'd have worn them
I don't
down.
disagree. And that's part of it.
I don't like it.
And that's part of it. That's why they're able to drop 7 back when you need to get into the end zone. I agree with it. But there's a time where the cute
Watch
works.
Tampa, they play all zone, dude.
The 4th and
They
1
weren't
play
playing
to
any
Gibbs.
Man on man there.
The 4th and 1 play to Gibbs was so that's getting cute when it works. But you can only do that if when you're not getting cute also works.
Can I ask what that little fucking shotgun read option pitch thing they
Never.
started
You
to fucking
can't run
do?
the option with
What
Jared
the
Goff.
Fuck,
We're not running the option with
fuck are
Jared
you
Goff.
doing?
We're
What
all
are you
set.
doing?
There were two instances where plays were snuffed out in the backfield and got blown up. Like one happened to Montgomery, and then obviously the option to Gibbs. And just you played a good defense yesterday, and
Yeah,
you still had
agreed.
460 yards. So just get it right. Like score the points. I'm not worried.
You said you're concerned.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on to say I'm not concerned. I'm not
That's fair.
concerned. I'm not worried. At the end of the day, you played 2 playoff teams to start off the year. I'm not worried. I'm genuinely not worried. I'm not concerned. If it ends up like last year, but you don't fall apart in the fucking conference championship second half,
We forget all about
nobody's
this.
having this conversation. And in all reality, that Seattle loss last year, if you go back and look at it, the offense didn't perform as well. The defense didn't perform as well. I'm not concerned. They weren't going 17-0. That's it. They weren't going 17-0.
And here's the good news. You have a chance to rectify everything this week. Of course, last year it was week 3 was against a pretty bad. It was either the Panthers or the Falcons. I can't remember. But week 3 was against a pretty bad team. You have a chance to get your first road game. You have a chance to go on the road and beat a really good team. I think we're all in agreement on the Cardinals at this point. This is a great test. This is a great test for everyone. And we forget all about this. If you get that road win against a good team, you're going to be feeling really good if they can figure all that out. I'm not worried. I'm concerned, but you have a chance to change the entire narrative next week. Go out and do it.
Yeah.
Go out and do it.
Agreed.
Can we talk Tampa for a second?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Where do you guys have them in the NFC right now? What do we think about Tampa?
Here's the problem. There's a fundamental problem. Right now, as it stands, I don't think they're the best team in their division this morning.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean,
I don't.
some
And
people can't argue that.
tonight, depending on what happens between Philadelphia and Atlanta, I don't know.
2-0.
They're 2-0, but at the end of the day, they're good, but I don't know if they're good enough. I really don't know if they're
Well,
good enough.
I mean, as of right now, New Orleans is the shit right now.
I think the
They're scoring
Buccaneers.
almost 50 points a game.
I think Tampa Bay's a 10-win football team.
Yeah.
I do.
Good measuring stick is when they played New Orleans. We'll see where they're at.
This is
That's
Tampa.
always a tough game.
10-win football teams playoffs, by the way.
Correct. Tampa's going to be the beneficiary, and this is my next point. Tampa's going to be the beneficiary of the Rams being absolutely decimated by injuries, and Green Bay and Chicago and these NFC North teams. I don't think they're going to play up to their top potential.
And keep in mind the schedule, right? So New Orleans is going to get a second or third place schedule.
Correct.
And that division, like they get to play the Panthers twice, all of them. And on top of that, you play different divisions each year. The NFC North this year has to play the AFC South, which is a good fucking division. And they have to play the NFC West, which is those are two divisions that are at least 3 teams deep. Both of them you can make the case are maybe 4 teams deep. So that changes the perspective a little bit, and that's how a division like the AFC South can get 2 in, and that's how they can win 10, 11, maybe even 12 games.
12 games.
They as in New Orleans or maybe Atlanta or Tampa. I think Tampa's got I give the edge to Tampa because they're the most battle-tested. There's guys on that team that won a Super Bowl. They have an elite defense, even though New Orleans' defense is very good. And I just like the potential of what they can do offensively more than New Orleans, but we can't deny anything that New Orleans has done through 2 weeks. We can't, like, it's at this point, like last week, the emphasis is, well, I need a second data point. You have your second data point on New Orleans.
I know we just spoke about how if you play 2 playoff teams to start off the year, they've gone to the Super Bowl. Just for the record, so far this season, the Saints have 91 points. That puts them second all time. Since not all time, since 1970. That puts them second in points scored in the first 2 games. The only other 2 teams, number 1 and 3, the 2009 Saints scored 93 points in their first 2 games, and they won the Super Bowl.
At the end of last year, they had a big game. They had a 40-some point game at the end of last year to end the year with, too.
This thing with
So
Derek
actually,
Carr.
3 straight games
Yeah.
that they've done this.
I think it goes further back. It's when Carr came back from injury last year is when this run started. It goes even further back. Finish
And
your
then the
point,
71 Cowboys scored 91 points in their first 2 games, and they also won the Super Bowl. Interesting note there. Shall we move on?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe go to that game if you'd like.
Okay, let's go to that game. The Saints went down to Dallas to play the Cowboys, and there's interesting videos circulating of people storming AT&T Stadium to get in yesterday for the first Cowboys home game. The Cowboys weren't ready. Saints put up 44 in Dallas to beat the Cowboys 44-19.
That game was over before the second quarter.
I mean, it was just explosive. Alvin Kamara with 4 touchdowns, throwing it way back. I mean, I don't know what to make of this because it's like I was not high on the Saints. I had the Saints finishing last in that division. I was not high on Derek Carr. I did not think this team was a
They're
threat to
doing
anything.
the same thing with the same team they had last year. They're actually turned their whole team around.
I mean, you and me both agree Dennis Allen's gonna be the first one to go.
I thought he was going to
He's
be
gonna be
the first
dead in the
guy
water
fired
by
this
week
year.
6, and that's
And
not the case.
He'll probably be coach of the year.
Dude, look at again. I said it.
If it
Rashid
continues.
Shaheed.
You
He's gonna fucking
might be
finish in
right.
top 5.
You might be right.
It's disgusting right now.
So it's Clint Kubiak. They brought in Gary Kubiak's son to run the offense, and it's now being dubbed. I mean, we're 2 weeks in, of course, but it's now being dubbed the biggest hire of the offseason was the Saints bringing in Clint Kubiak because the jump from that unit to where it was last year to where it is right now through 2 weeks is.
I want to say this.
It's those deep throws to Shaheed early that opened up the run game for them.
I want to just okay. I like the Saints. I think the Saints could win their division, but I want to say this: they played Carolina in Week 1, and I think realistically, Dallas probably thought that exact same thing, and was not ready to get punched in the mouth the way that they did. So, do I think that the Saints are going to continue putting up 40-some points a game? No, I don't. Do I think that there could be a 10-11 win team now? I do. But I think Dallas got caught off guard and got punched right in the mouth and completely slept on a team that they shouldn't have. But I don't think the Saints are Super Bowl contenders and world beaters.
I think Dallas got caught off guard and gave up as well.
Same.
What do you think of the Saints? Do you think they can sustain? Like, gun to your head right
I
now? Are
think
you
they
picking
could.
them?
I think they could.
Are you picking them
they
to
have
win the
pieces
division?
to do it. Yeah,
But see, they really
picking-
don't have the pieces to do.
they do.
And you're picking them to win the division too.
They have a
No,
good defense.
I'm not ready to go.
You have good defense. Right now, you got one of the top-rated running backs in the fucking league.
Yes, but they've had him.
And Shaheed is a top 3 fucking receiver
They've had
right
Alvin
now.
Kamara.
You still got Chris Olave too.
Yeah,
They've
Olave
had
a good
Alvin
game.
Kamara. The defense, it's great, but it's the same Saints team that we have seen. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed.
Derek Carr is more confident now than I've seen.
That's
him,
great. At the
than
end
I've
of the day,
seen him before
he's still
injury
Derek
in
Carr.
Oakland.
He's still Derek Carr. I am not ready to crown them.
All right.
I want to see them go up against Tampa twice, and then we'll have some
Those
answers.
should be fun, and
Those
then we'll
should be
see
good
what
games.
Atlanta we get tonight. But if Atlanta ends up turning into something, that has potential as well.
I'm not ready to crown them yet because, again, Carolina in Week 1 and the Dallas Cowboys got punched in the mouth yesterday by somebody they didn't expect them to hit.
Yeah,
That's
but it wasn't. I'm gonna tell you right now, that could probably be the best thing to happen to Dallas was getting ass raped
Agree 1,000%.
because Dak Prescott looked like fucking caca. He was awful.
Is it me or when Dallas loses games, like every
looks
time we've
bad.
seen them? No, just in general, not just him. When Dallas loses games, doesn't
whole
it? Fe-
fucking team
The whole thing comes apart.
Well,
the whole
because
thing. They always get blown out when
They
they
can't
lose.
get punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
They cannot take a punch in the mouth and get back up. And we saw it twice yesterday. We saw it against Dallas and we saw the Rams get punched in the mouth and not be able to recover.
Whoa. The Rams, there's a reason why they got punched in the mouth. We know why. Because that team is fucking decimated.
Well, but
I still think the
They're
Cardinals were
missing
going to crush
5
them, though.
offensive linemen, your 2 top fucking receivers. They're missing key components on defense. That's why they.
are you worried about Dallas? Before we move on, are you worried about Dallas?
I don't think of Dallas.
Yes, but from a football standpoint, if you actually cared that the Cowboys existed, would you be worried?
No. No.
So you don't think this
Because
changes
I
trajectory?
thought that they were so far behind so early. That game was over before the second quarter.
Unrecoverable.
Remember the Cardinals shit pumped them last year, and
Yes.
we were all shocked.
Yes.
No, I'm not worried about Dallas.
I'm not worried
I
about
just
They'll
think they
come
give
back.
up.
They'll come back hard.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried at all.
They
I think,
can't take a punch.
I think they can't. I think they just when this happens to them, like if they get down, that's how you beat. That's the recipe to beat them. Like you need to come out and
You
step
need
on
to
their fucking throats
Get them early.
because they give up. Like
Yeah.
they're clearly a team that can't play from behind. When was the last time you heard the Cowboys coming back to win a game that they were, not a close
don't.
game where it was a one-score game? When was the last time you heard the Cowboys came back
don't.
and won? Doesn't happen.
They can't get punched. They can't take a punch. Let's move back on to the other pumping of the week. The Cardinals hosted the Rams and absolutely shit pumped them 41-10. Rams decimated with injury. As we said, Cooper Kupp exited with an ankle injury. Maserati Mar, first wide receiver since his dad to have 4 catches and 2 touchdowns in the first quarter of a game as a rookie. What Cardinals, I'm going to say I was probably wrong on as well because they looked really good
I think they're a
yesterday.
playoff team.
Yeah, I stand by that.
I do.
I'm
The
gonna,
defense is playing really well. The run game with Connor and who's that other cat they got? The other dude, Benson, that looks solid. You still got Dortch. I mean, who can sleep on him? McBride.
Michael Wilson.
Yeah, Michael Wilson.
The one thing I disagree with you on is the injuries to the Rams. I don't think that. Of course, it.
I think it means a lot.
I think it impacted the game a little bit, but I think the Cardinals were still going to come out and pump the Rams yesterday because I think the
Well, they
Cardinals are
came
very
out
good.
hot. Well, there's one team that could play from behind. It's the Rams. But with all these missing pieces, and you're leaving Stafford back there to fucking.
well, the only thing
I mean,
the Rams couldn't run the football yesterday, and I think that's partially due to the offensive line injury.
Yes.
But I just,
it's got a lot to do with it.
I mean,
Well, that and you're playing from behind. They were fucking. It was 17-3, and my man had fucking 100 yards in the first quarter.
and you had him on your bench.
Yeah.
So the central question, and we already touched on a little bit. Cooper Kupp now going to be out an extended period of time. Will the Rams be able to accomplish much at this point, despite all the injuries?
No, they're devastated.
You might
They're
see
dead.
new guys come
No.
flowering out.
No.
It's worked for them. They've plugged
worked for
they've
them.
they've
Plug
plugged
guys
and
in.
played guys in, and Stafford's still there.
Skoranek,
Yeah, but for
remember?
how long? How long? And how much? Okay.
What they need is their offensive lineman back.
Their
They can
offensive-
get them back. I think they'll be better.
They get Aldrick Robinson back this week
Okay, that's gonna help.
It ain't there.
from the
dude.
suspension.
It's horrible.
Stafford couldn't take that punch yesterday either. He looked like a deer in the headlights that whole
Guy
game.
was running for his life.
Their offensive line is decimated. What would the outlook of the Lions be without Jameson and Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Depends on if they're running the ball or not.
With a good defense. I mean, you have to think it's. I mean, when we're talking outlook, what are they going to win?
You at well.
You think they're going to win more than 6 games with what they got right now?
Depending on how long these guys are out for, I think they'll win.
Well, you got Nakua on IR and Cup's going to be headed there.
Well, we'll see what happens.
I think they're done. I can write them off. Eliminated.
Too early to write anyone off.
Eliminated.
I have another question for you guys. We're all high on the Cardinals at this point. We'll talk about them as a potential 49ers rival another time, but I want to talk about Kyler Murray. Is he in the MVP conversation right now?
No.
Not yet.
Why not? You need to
Why not?
justify your answers both.
I truly think you got to see more of a bigger body of work from him.
And what's
I
your
mean,
excuse?
the first 2 teams they've played, one was Buffalo, they lost. They lost a tight game at the end, and Josh Allen does what Josh Allen does.
Because that's the
And,
MVP.
and if
candidate.
they can't defeat a team like that, then I don't think he's in.
He's got to gut out one of these games against a really good team. Like hypothetically, and I don't wish this on the world, if you got a 1-possession game with the Lions this week and he can gut it out, then you can start to have that conversation. When they go into San Francisco and you can gut that one out, then you could start to have that conversation. Again, I do agree with you. The Rams were decimated with injury. I still thought the Cardinals would win that game. The Rams were decimated, and they lost that gutsy close game to Buffalo. So I think it's a little early to have that. Could I see it later in the year? Yes, but right now, no, I'm not there yet.
So your argument is it's applicable to any quarterback then.
Absolutely.
It's applicable to anybody. Just not enough data.
Just not enough yet.
That's fair.
Not enough yet.
Fair.
Let's jump up to the overtime game between Seattle and New England at Gillette Stadium. Seahawks win in overtime 23-20. That means Seattle is now 2-0. I don't know what to make of this one either now because I didn't think Seattle was worth a shit this year. And the whole thing is even after they go 2-0, I still don't know if they're shit. That's the problem for me. I'm very confused right now. And for some reason, they've been able to throw the ball really well. Really well. The only thing I'm going to say, their first 2 games were against Denver, New England.
Yeah,
I think that matters too.
I think that matters.
That matters because, again, New England played a tight game yesterday and beat Cincinnati. But I got news for you. If New England plays Cincinnati in week 2 instead of in week 1, they lose that game.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing for Seattle is they have Miami this week at home with Skylar Thompson.
See where they're
so
at.
they'll probably go 3-0. I'm not there on Seattle yet, personally. But I thought they did everything they needed to do to beat
By the way,
a halfway
I
decent New
wouldn't
England
put
team.
that as a for sure deal either.
What?
That Miami's going to lose to Seattle.
Well,
I actually like them against Seattle.
the Seattle right now can throw the ball at will and score points. That's what it looks like. I mean, Metcalf had a beautiful game yesterday. Njigba, you called that one. He had a really nice game yesterday. So they're utilizing those guys right now. And with Kenneth Walker out, and Charbonnet looked pretty good.
Yeah.
And Miami with Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, need more data points. More data points because they still got these are 2 close games against 2 teams that I thought the Broncos would be good. It's clear that they're not going to be, and I don't think the Patriots are that great.
No.
So need more data points. Gun to you guys' head. Do they get into the playoffs?
No.
Same.
Um,
Mike McDonald, by the way, is the first Seahawks coach ever to start 2-0. Even Carroll didn't do that.
you have a very, very good talking point on here.
Yeah,
right?
let's do it.
Right now, if you look at the New England Patriots receiving situation, Jacoby Brissett has 270 passing yards in 2 games. 127 of those are to Hunter Henry. Next on the list is Austin Hooper with 36. Yes, the question on here was, will Hunter Henry finish the season as the Patriots' leading receiver? The answer is yes, because you have to go down to KJ Osborne, who has 28 total receiving yards on the year to find a receiver.
Jalen Polk is a touchdown.
Jalen Polk did catch a touchdown, yes. Was a 5-yard touchdown?
Yeah.
I mean, it's offensively, they are bad. They are really bad. They can run the ball halfway decent. Stevenson and Gibson both have done.
That's what's keeping these guys in the game.
That's the only reason they are where they are. And when they face a decent run stop, they're going to fucking lose. They're going to lose. Anything else there?
No.
All right, let's move on to this dumpster fire. The Commanders hosted the New York Football Giants. Malik Neighbors had a nice little day. I'll start off by saying that. He had, 18 targets yesterday?
Yeah.
18 targets for the rookie. Brian Burns had a nice quote today. When you shoot yourself in the foot, you're fucking yourself. I'm really pissed about the effort this team's giving.
What's is the implication we're shooting ourselves in the foot by starting Daniel Jones?
There's a lot.
I think it's the defense. I think their defense is underachieving. He knows it,
But-
and he's not happy about it. I don't think he likes the scheme. I don't think he likes anything.
This is the problem. They are the first team to ever allow or to lose a game where they scored 3 touchdowns and did not get scored and have a touchdown scored against them. The first team ever to score 3 touchdowns, not allow one, and lose the game.
Does Dabo make it to
How do you-
fucking week 7?
You can't, it's hard to blame the defense when they didn't allow a touchdown and lost.
I don't even know what to say.
I mean,
I think it's shit luck with the kicker. I think it's
Oh
horrible.
my
It's horrible
God.
luck.
Right.
They clearly win the game. I think they would be very unwise to fire Brian Dabble. I will say that until I die. And if he gets fired and he lands somewhere good, whether it's an offensive coordinator position or as a head coach, he's going to do good wherever he goes because he's just a really good coach. And I don't blame him for this really talent depleted roster. And they were in the game. They should have won the game, but the freak accident
Yeah.
with their kicker and warm-ups.
Yeah.
I think this game is more of an indictment on the rookie quarter. It's more of an indictment on the Commanders and how they haven't been able to get Jaden Daniels going the way he should be. Because the Giants, I didn't watch this game, but it sounds like the Giants played a decent game.
they did.
I watched this game too, and I've got to say something. Jaden Daniels, if he continues to play the way he is, he's going to go the same way Anthony Richardson did last year. He is getting. There was 2 or 3 hits yesterday that he took in that game where he got fucking obliterated running the football. And it's not going to work for him like that. It's not. Because he ain't as big as Richardson either.
No.
He's not. He's going to end up dead if he continues to play the way that he does. That's it in a nutshell.
Their secondary is fucking
Awful. Awful.
And I was high on them, dude. I really thought they did enough to really contest.
Out of all of the defenses I saw yesterday, truly, and I think that this is a bigger problem even than Jaden Daniels. Out of all the defenses I saw yesterday, Washington's looked the worst.
Well,
Washington's looked the worst. And Daniel Jones still wasn't great, but it was just
he was fucking serviceable. He wasn't that bad yesterday.
he was serviceable against the worst defense I saw all day. Can you tell me a defense who played worse than the Commanders yesterday? Who looked more out of place than their secondary?
Dallas.
Dallas with the towel thrown in. I'm sorry.
Do we think we could sink our teeth into Daniel Jones to neighbors for the next couple months? Is
I
there
think
more
so.
to it? You think no?
No, I think they got something going. I really do.
I don't, because I think that yesterday's Giants performance is probably one of the best you'll see out of them this year. The 3 touchdown passes, and they lost. Like, it's not going to get any better for them. That's the thing. They can't run the football. They can't run the football. Well, okay, here you go. Giants are going into Cleveland this week. You think Malik Neighbors is going to be able to do what he did this week?
We'll see.
I don't think so. Then they go to Dallas. Like this, it doesn't get any better for them.
It's a divisional game.
It doesn't get any better for them.
Divisional game.
You
man.
have
He
Cleveland
said it.
at Cleveland,
Divisional game.
at Cleveland, against Dallas, at Seattle, against Cincinnati, against Philadelphia, at Pittsburgh. It does not get any better for them.
Charlie in the chat says Daniel Jones is going to end up being RG3 2.0 if he doesn't stop taking the hits.
I think it's inevitable. Their offensive line is the worst part about that team by far. I got to give Daniel Jones credit there because he had no time. He was
Not
beat
able
up.
to run the ball.
They're not able to run the ball. It's bad. It's fucking bad.
Yeah.
That's it. Just checking on the chat here real quick. Do we think Saquon's going to get more than a half rush? Yes.
No.
Half a what?
No. He's saying because I know what his parlay is. He found some jank website he can bet on in California. It's more than it's Saquon anytime. It's Saquon anytime. He has a parlay going. It's 0.5 rush, 0.5 receive. So he's just got to hit over. It's Saquon anytime.
My lock tonight is Saquon 2 touchdowns. He's going to get at least 2 out of it.
You heard it, Steve S. Steven
And
S.
Saquon over 100 yards.
So I have a 7-way anytime touchdown parlay from yesterday. And I have 6. I went 6 for 6 yesterday. The one that I tossed in there as the add-on was Saquon tonight. I have a cash out option for half. I'm letting it ride with Saquon. There's no A.J. Brown tonight. He's going to get at a minimum 1. I think you're good on 2 touchdowns for Saquon tonight.
You heard it here first, Steve.
Yeah. But we will jump into that game in more detail. Hold on. There was a point yesterday. Shout out to Joe Venditti in the chat. There was a point yesterday where I was watching the Applebee's commercial where I was like, somebody today is going to say, Dan Campbell's too busy trying to peddle 50-cent wings. And that's why they lost this fucking
Oh,
game.
my God.
And that was there.
Sarah, if you can hear this right now, I think you're watching, but we were listening to 97.1 on the way home, and the first caller that Stoney took on the postgame show, it was a woman, of course, and that's what she led with. We need to stop doing the commercials and get our focus back.
Yeah.
This fucking town. You had a
know.
team go to the fucking NFC Championship game last year, and you're still pulling shit like that out of your ass when you call into the radio station.
No more Jared Goff chance. He threw the ball into the ground. He needs to turn in his car and drive something that's more of his quarterback value, like a Miata.
God damn it, Joe.
Miata's a great
if you
vehicle.
want to keep this energy, you've got to keep it when they're 12-2. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Keep the
You got to
pressure
keep
on.
the same energy.
If you want to be a Philly fan or a New York fan, you got to keep it up the entire
gotta
year.
do it.
Keep
You
the
gotta
pressure
do it.
on.
You got to do it.
Miata's a great vehicle, man.
Let's jump down here. Next up, we have the Vikings hosting the 49ers. Vikings won this game 23-17. Obviously, no Christian McCaffrey on IR. There was a funny stat that I found. So Purdy is 14-0 against all NFC teams in the regular season, besides Minnesota, who he has lost to twice. He has lost to both times he has played Minnesota. 14-0 against the NFC in the regular season. And when it comes to Minnesota, for some reason, they have got his number. Is there anything to that? I mean, he did walk. I know you said something about Brian Flores scheming earlier.
That's exactly what happened.
There was a video that came out afterwards of Purdy actually talking to Brian Flores and commending him on how good the scheme was against them.
He knows. That's stupid.
It was not a pretty showing for San Francisco yesterday at all.
He looked awful.
He did not look good.
Yeah, I didn't see it. What else was it with San Francisco?
was-
What else was up? What about the
honestly,
defense?
You wanna
Other
know
than
what it
Fred
was?
Warner, I heard
Minnesota's
Fred Warner was good.
Defense was really getting to him, dude.
The
And he was unsteady the whole game.
Yeah, but what about the Niners D giving up 23 to Sam Darnold?
Oh, there you go.
that was the bigger surprise, if anything, for me, because Debo had a nice little game. He had 110 yards, but
Justin Jefferson had a fucking, what was that?
a
97
97-yard
yards.
touchdown for Justin Jefferson. And that was big too.
That's what put the foot on him, really.
But I thought Darnold looked really serviceable yesterday.
He did.
He did. And also, neither team could really get anything going in the run game. I mean, Mason did towards the end of it, but San Francisco looked really shaky yesterday at best.
So what's the blueprint
I don't know. I can't figure it out.
on how to beat them? Like, what did Minnesota do well that the Lions can
Sort of
take?
like what they did with the Lions. It's the middle of the field. They took the middle of the field away.
They did.
Minnesota took the middle of
Yes.
the field away.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was honest to God, I'm not going to read all that much into this game still, because I still don't think
Listen, they were very physical with them.
yes, they were.
Them being very physical with San Francisco, they didn't like that shit. They didn't like it out physical, especially up front on both sides of the ball.
I do want to say though, I think that San Francisco came into this game a little sleepy, kind of like Dallas did.
Oh, I'm sure they thought
Yeah.
they were going to run.
They
rough
thought they
shot
were going to
on
run rough shot, and they got punched in the mouth.
them. It's the NFL.
The 97-yard catch out of Justin Jefferson was a big help in winning this game. That's all I'm going to say.
You guys are both McCaffrey suck me offs. Do you think this has anything to do with McCaffrey?
No. They would have lost that game with McCaffrey.
You?
I don't know.
You could
McCaffrey's
say
better
yes.
than the Mason kid.
You could say yes.
There's no doubt about
Yeah,
it.
you could totally say it's a fair question. I
I
think.
think he plays a different game.
He would have opened things up a little bit more.
That's the difference. Whether it's catching or running,
A good team has to
he's
lose to a
threat
bad team.
either way.
Think about this. Think about the three teams that we think are the premier NFC teams. They all lost yesterday to teams they shouldn't have.
Right.
And they all got punched in the
You're on
mouth.
the clock, Eagles.
And they got out physical.
TikTok.
That's it. Pray to God that doesn't happen tonight. But that's it. And I think they all walked in and slept.
Wait, you don't want the Eagles to lose tonight?
No, I got him in a par.
Oh, all right, my fault.
I got to root.
I'm sorry.
I got to root for him.
I'm sorry.
No, it
I'm
would
sorry.
be nice because it keeps everybody on par.
I'm sorry.
But Do any of you think the Vikings are a legitimate threat to compete in this division
Yes.
at 2-0?
Yes. I think they got a young defense that's playing very well. They got a nice roster. They got a good coach.
They're going to have to hold serve, but right now they have a 2-0 or they have a 1-game lead on all 3 teams. So you have to take them seriously
They have
when
the
they
best
beat.
receiver in football. They have a really good young defense. And guess what? You got on the back end of their defense, they got one of the best veterans in this.
You have to take them seriously after beating the Niners.
Yes.
You have to.
Have
Because that's our barometer this year is we need to beat the Niners. So if they're beating the Niners, and maybe the Niners are bad, maybe the Vikings jump off. I know what you're thinking. There's not nearly enough data, and I agree with you. But right now, statistically, and because of who they just beat, you have to take them seriously.
It's going to fall apart. It's going to fall apart.
Gun to my head, it's going to fall apart. But right now, you have to take them as a division threat because you're looking up at them in the division. You have to.
Right.
But I agree with you. I think it's going to fall apart too.
I can't.
I totally think it's going to fall apart.
I think
you
if
can't
we're-
sustain this.
My threshold for this right now is Halloween. If we're looking at this team at Halloween, I think they might have an extra win or 2 compared to where they're at now,
We'll talk then.
personally. Next up, I guess we have to talk about this. The Chargers went to Carolina to play the Panthers in the game where you get tickets for $1.50. Chargers absolutely throttled them, 26-3. Bryce Young lost his job. Panthers are now being touted as the biggest dumpster fire organization in sports. I will say this. I thought that the Chargers looked really good. They were able to run the ball really nicely again. And Quentin Johnston finally came alive a little bit. And, there was actually some good things for the Chargers yesterday. There was good things that came out of this game. Again, the weight on it, I don't put anybody who beats Carolina, you can't really put all that much into it. But I thought the Chargers played a really, really nice game.
They ate the clock.
Yeah.
They ate the clock, and they controlled the clock, and they kept Young off the field, which was good for the Panthers.
They're second in the league in rushing yards, total rushing yards right now.
Yeah.
Let's just get to it. Are we buying Charger stock at this point?
Am I?
And it's okay to say it's too early.
Where are
because
we
it's too
putting
early.
Chargers stock?
Charger stock means?
I need them to see. I need to see them play.
Well,
I think we had their win total at 5.5.
I think I did.
And then on top of that, I think we had the 5.5. So they have 2 of these wins. I guess Chargers stock for me would be do we think they can sneak into the AFC playoffs?
No.
I think they got a chance.
Okay, this is what
They
I'm.
keep playing the way they're playing.
The only reason why I would say that that's a possibility is because, again, we saw another powerhouse get punched in the mouth this week by a team they had no business losing to in the Raiders. And the Chargers punched Las Vegas in the mouth last week and were able to run the ball down their throat, which Derrick Henry couldn't figure out how to do this week. So I'm going to say I think that the Chargers could be an 8-win team. But I'm not ready to go playoffs
The
yet.
body of work isn't big enough for them yet.
It's very fair. It's 2 bad
Yeah.
teams.
Because I still think their defense is playing outstanding this year. I think they look completely different than they did last year.
Steve, yeah, I do think it's because of Harbaugh at this point. Well, no, not at this point.
They're playing hardball football.
It's not.
Playing
It's
hardball football. Running the football, playing.
And it's not. There's things that we don't see. Of course, on paper, on the field, we're gonna run the shit out of the football. We're gonna play better defense. We're gonna control the tempo of the game. Right? That's what Jim Harbaugh did at Michigan. He won a national championship eventually. This is different, Steve, because this is what he does. He goes into toxic cultures. And he's so fucking quirky and weird, and he's so obsessed with football that rah-rah shit that he does, who's got it better than us, nobody, all that stupid bullshit, it rubs off eventually. You buy in. He has J.K. Dobbins, who probably wanted to retire, with his head sky high in the air right now, looking at one of the best running backs in the league. He has Boza and Mack, two guys that clearly gave up last year, looking like Defensive Player of the Year candidates. He has Quentin Johnson, who was a butt end of most people's jokes last year, looking like a really good receiver. And then, of course, you take the good with the bad. Like, I don't think Justin Herbert looks that good through 2 weeks right now. But Justin Herbert, I talked about it the other day, looks like a fucking leader.
Yes,
He looks vocal.
Shot yesterday.
Did he? I didn't
yeah.
see it.
he was out for a couple plays.
He looks fucking vocal, and he looks like an actual guy that wants to be there. And this is what Harbaugh does. Like when teams give up, like the Chargers gave the fuck up at the end of the year
You know
last
what?
year.
He's taking the pressure off him, and I think that's the thing. The way the games are being called, he's taking the pressure off him.
The Joe Alt and Rayshon Slater, shout out to PJ in the chat, were the 2 highest graded tackles in the NFL in week 2.
They look fucking good as hell taking
Sure,
Joe
when you're
Alt right
running
now.
the ball fucking 39 times a game, 40 times a game.
Better
And-
check what those Packers tackles
And-
are then.
It was against Carolina too.
Yeah.
So again, but I will say they're playing hardball football and they're doing it effectively. And J.K. Dobbins, I believe, is 2nd or 3rd in total rushing yards right now. So
Good for him, too,
Barkley
by
got
the
more
way.
than everybody in his first game.
Good for Dobbins.
good for
He was always good.
He was always
Dobbins
good,
was
but God.
always good. He was one of my favorite running. I mean, I liked watching him at Ohio State more than I liked watching Maurice Claret.
When week 6 comes around though, and he ruptures his Achilles and tears his ACL all at the same time.
We'll see.
God, that's really
He's
good.
got Ben Herbert now. That's their strength coach. That's one of the reasons Michigan was so like their guys never got banged up, and he's got a good strength coach there that's going to keep an eye on shit like that. You don't think they're aware of that? How we keep Dobbins healthy? You don't think that's a talking point every fucking day for them? I think it is.
Are we moving on?
Yeah, we talked enough about that one. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Let's go to the Packers and the Colts from Lambeau Field. Indianapolis is 0-2, which is probably one of the biggest surprises for me right now. I did not
think so,
see
too.
that
I'm-
coming.
Couldn't agree more.
Anthony Richardson finished yesterday with a QBR of 41. Malik Willis finished 12 of 14 for 122 yards, a touchdown, no picks, with a QBR of 127.
And a rushing touchdown.
Yes, and no, he did not have a rushing touchdown, but
he
he
did.
had 41 yards on the ground.
The
If
touchdown was a pass to Dontavian Wicks. It was the only
I know.
touchdown
I
they
thought
gave.
he had a rushing touchdown.
if anybody showed you both of those stat lines from this game, there's a 99 out of 100% chance you would reverse them.
The Packers' defense is for real. It's not fake. You're seeing a very good defense, and they're all young.
So I have a question for you guys. Do you think they can keep this up with Malik Willis?
Well, there was an interesting piece of news that I read today that because everybody, even me, I was like, how is Jordan Love not out straight up going into Sunday morning? He was doubtful. He was not out. And everybody was talking about how he was going to miss 4 to 6 weeks with an MCL sprain. He came out today and said that he truly was a game time decision yesterday and that it was more precautionary that he didn't play than anything else and that it's likely he's going to play in week 3.
Thank God.
That to me is mind-boggling because an MCL sprain is pretty much a month. So he made it sound like today it was truly a game time decision that he didn't play it.
Are we sure it's not gamesmanship? Are we sure they're not playing a game? Because he didn't practice all fucking week.
I know.
I don't know.
So
I don't buy it.
I don't buy that.
I don't buy it.
So the question is going forward, will the Packers be fine with Malik Willis at the helm? No. They won't be.
Feeding the ball to Josh Jacobs and fucking
You can't do that.
running
but-
little reverses and screens.
I will say, was there
They showed they could do it, and they won with it.
DeForest Buckner
But
didn't play?
that's the Colts though.
DeForest Buckner.
Yeah, but we were all pretty high on the Colts.
Not their defense. Not their defense.
Their defense looked like dog shit yesterday. You had Buckner on a serious snap count. He almost did not play. He was a game time decision as well. And he is the leader of their run stop, I would say. Agree?
Well, you got the Zaire Franklin guy. You got guys over there that are tackling machines.
I know, but they didn't look good yesterday. Their defense, the Colts defense did not look good. Listen, when Malik Willis
They lost their number 1 draft choice, too. They lost him, too.
Malik Willis is completing 12 of
ankle.
14, come on. Josh Jacobs ran for 151 yards.
There you go.
That's a massive hole in the Colts defense.
All you need to do.
I'm not 100% sold on the fact that they can replicate that again.
You know, the biggest scary thing right now is how bad the Colts looked. I mean, they were supposed to be.
Hold on, they could have won week 1, but that was bad yesterday.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Yeah.
I think yesterday you can attribute to Packers D and then just the youth of Anthony Richardson. Like, he's still a rookie technically. So I think you could chalk
you
that
can
up to
see
that.
he's still making the same fucking
3 picks
mistakes
were bad.
over again.
Yeah.
All over and over again.
Jonathan Taylor he had 12 rushes for 103 yards. He averaged 8.5 yards per carry. So he had a nice little game himself.
The turnovers killed him.
The turnovers killed him.
Debo Samuel has a calf strain and will miss a couple weeks. And former Lion Jonah Jackson has a fractured scapula and is headed to IR. That's what he had in training camp.
Another blow for the Rams.
Yeah.
Another big blow for the Rams. Another big blow for Frisco. Because if you're down McCaffrey and Debo,
Oh yeah.
And
And
Ricky Pierce
Kittle.
and Ricky Pearsall. Kittle was just getting an IV, I heard. I heard Kittle was just getting an IV.
Kittle left that game yesterday. That's good. That's one to watch because if you're down to Brandon Ayuk and who
They need Ricky Pearsall back, and they don't
need
get him
to get
back for 2
Pearsall
weeks.
they need to get him back. All right, moving on to the Browns and the Jaguars. Browns pull this one out by the skin of their teeth, 18-13. Do you feel at all more comfortable with Deshaun Watson after yesterday's game, Uncle Sam?
No. No.
Was it bad still? I didn't see it.
I'll put it to you this way. Their whole offense looks so out of sync that it's pathetic. It's pathetic. Their defense keeps them in the fucking games.
You took my point exactly. Their defense held Jacksonville just enough to where they won that game.
Trevor Lawrence, man.
Trevor Lawrence was
fuck?
mediocre at best.
What the fuck?
We had the conversation Friday. I asked you
He ain't
guys
it.
who needed the game more. I thought it was the Browns. I think we all think it was the
agreed
Browns.
it was the
We
Browns.
agree.
I thought it was the Browns. The Browns got the win. So the question is, Trevor Lawrence, like, if you're the Jaguars, where are you going?
You got to roll with him.
Dude, what? You
No, not just
watch
Trevor Lawrence, in general.
You watch him, he throws a fucking beautiful ball. One is perfect. The next 4 are fucking absolute trash.
You know something though? One thing I did notice yesterday, and I know they've spent some assets on their
They
offensive
can't
line.
protect him
Their
for
offensive
shit.
line is still fucking awful. Trevor Lawrence, he has no time. They really didn't do a good job running the ball yesterday. Granted, they didn't try to all that much, but
Well, no, they
ETN
did. 18 hit a good game, dude. He was pounding it in there.
See, you got to give ETN the
That's
ball
a
more.
really good defense. I mean,
ETN had 13 carries, and I feel like that's low for him.
Didn't he make the most? Didn't he have like 98 yards and a touchdown now?
52 yards. 52 yards and a touchdown. But still, he didn't have that bad of a game. But their play calling, too, like, 1, your offensive line ain't good, and 2, your play calling was just very basic. And Cleveland's defense is better than most. So you're going to lose that game. Jacksonville has no juice. Jacksonville is watered down. They are vanilla pudding. They are
I thought
white
their
bread.
defense
dude.
actually played pretty well against
Jacksonville's defense. Well, okay, but that's what I'm saying. We came out of this game still thinking Deshaun Watson didn't play that well. So I'm not sold on him yet. I thought Cleveland's defense stepped up and did just enough to secure the win. Deshaun Watson really didn't do anything in that win.
All right, so real quickly, what's next for Jacksonville?
Jacksonville finishes probably at the bottom of their division. It's going to be them in Tennessee hunting for the 7th win to try and scrape out 3rd place.
And Deshaun Watson doesn't move the needle at the moment.
Deshaun Watson doesn't. In all reality, Deshaun Watson still lowers Cleveland's value for me.
I just texted my Cleveland source, who I think is listening right now, and he says, what's the over-under on the next rape or assault case to emerge this week? Those are mainly the stats we discuss around here at this point.
Yeah, and I would still be right there. I wouldn't.
Shout out to Jam.
Deshaun Watson does not move the needle for me whatsoever. Cleveland's defense looked better yesterday than they did in week 1.
Yeah, that's for sure.
100%.
Their defense will always keep them in games.
Their defense, but it kept him in the game against Jacksonville, whose offense is like
Wait, didn't
wet
Jameis get in?
newspaper.
Didn't Jameis get some snaps yesterday? Am I making that up or no?
he did not.
He
But
did
there was a lot of talk about how he was when he's in the huddle. You saw that too?
I did see that. I heard that. Was
Yeah.
it Jerry Jeudy that said it?
No, it was running back.
Oh, yeah, Ford, Jerome Ford.
Yes.
Jerome Ford came out for all this that didn't hear it and said that when Jameis comes to the huddle to read a play, it sounds like he's like trying to surprise you. Like he's gonna. What was the exact? I don't remember what it was, but he's like trying to. It's a surprise what's gonna come out of his mouth when he unveils what he's gonna say.
Did you see Donta Foreman with 14 carries yesterday?
No.
He said it calls a play in the huddle like he has a surprise to tell.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to play for that guy?
I'm-
Put him in.
I'm gonna say this much.
Put him in.
This is the last thing that we'll say about this. Cleveland going forward again. Jacksonville to me is one step above irrelevant right now. They have no life in that team. They play the Giants this week, so they'll look good. Against the Raiders, if the Raiders come out and play like they did yesterday, Cleveland will get the floor wiped. They're going to lose that game bad. Just saying. Just saying. I'm not there yet. I'm not there. Let's go on to the Jets and the Titans. I know Uncle Sam has feelings about this game. Jets beat the Titans in Tennessee 24-17. Do you think right now Will Levis can lead this team, continue to be the starter, and live up to something better than dog shit?
I don't think he's that bad. I just think he makes bad decisions.
He
late in
pisses the game away.
I mean, it's the second game in a row he's pissed away.
He pissed it away.
I mean, that's fucked.
And the other thing, the whole Tony Pollard,
At what point does his team get tired of that bullshit? You know,
His coach seems tired of it.
yeah,
I would be
I
tired.
heard that you can see Callahan mouth to him, "What the fuck were you doing there?" Or "What the fuck
Yeah.
were you thinking when he got?"
Well,
that?"
deservedly so.
the Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears thing ain't working either.
Tajay Spears is out. He's hurt.
He's hurt now, and Tony Pollard is still Tony Pollard. I mean,
I think he's effective when he's in there.
the only thing I will say is Calvin Ridley has looked halfway decent. He had 2
Yeah.
touchdowns yesterday. Good for him. But for me, Tennessee's just that. I don't think Will Levis is not a long-term NFL quarterback. He's not. He's not.
Why? I just think he's making dumb mistakes. He's young, dude. Everybody forgets that he's younger than these other guys.
I know, but it's
But
not.
he'll learn, dude. He keeps at least he's learning on the fly. He's like Bryce Young. The only difference is you can't bench him because what's behind him is no better than he is.
Yeah.
So you're fucked either way.
I think Tennessee's another one of those situations where
And you know what? The Jets look better. The defense looked better. Aaron Rodgers looked better.
Oh, hold
Do
on.
they look better?
Hold
though?
on.
I think so.
No.
I think so.
I want to say something here.
He looked comfortable.
The Jets for me aren't it right now either.
Listen, Brees
Okay.
Hall had a big game.
I'm aware they can run the football. They can run the
the
football.
fucking
This is the
football.
Titans, though.
They can run the football. Correct.
Yeah, but the Titans had the 2 best inside tackles in football.
I'm
Nobody's talking about it.
I'm not discrediting Brees Hall, and same with who's the backup?
Braylon Allen.
Braylon Allen also had a big game
Monster,
too.
dude.
This is the Titans, and the Jets are supposed to be a potential division
Bingo.
winner,
They are
if
not.
not Super Bowl candidate, and they have not looked the part
They
through
are
2
not
weeks.
Not yet.
You know, you expect more for Aaron Rodgers against the Titans. Like this was a dogfight, right? Wasn't this a rock
Yes,
fight? And it comes down to a shitty
Well,
Will
that's what
Levis
they need.
turnover.
That's what you need. You need these dog fights. That's what you learn from.
But
The blowouts, you learn nothing. Do you really think?
do you know how
that-
badly
that-
the Jets need a fucking blowout just for everybody to buy in?
Yeah, but you know what? I don't know about that. I think they're doing it the gritty way. I
you
like
just-
it.
you
I like running
gangrene,
ground
rah-rah
ground and
bullshit.
pound and play defense. Ground and pound and play defense.
Yeah, but they didn't even
how
look
you-
good doing
That's
it.
how you win in this fucking league.
They didn't look good doing it. Because guess what? If Will Levis had half a fucking brain, the Jets lose that game. And every Jet fan is in fucking panic. And you know I'm right.
Yeah, they won.
Anyways. Let's move on to another Uncle Sam hard on here. The Raiders hosted the Ravens, and somehow Raiders come out on top 26-23. Gardner Minshew currently leads the league in completion percentage at 77.5. Uncle Sam, I throw it to you first so you can goo on Gardner Minshew.
He showed up big and late in that game to pull it out. They were down. Nobody remembers that they were down a couple of scores, man. And he brought them back and they won. They got the stops on defense when they had to. Came down to some really messed up fourth down play where I thought fucking Jackson was going to run it in from 75 yards away.
Stop. Stop. What the fuck are you doing?
What?
What was he doing? Why do you lateral that? Go.
I think he would have scored.
He would have scored. Okay.
I don't know what he saw to make him pitch that ball back, but I didn't see anything. It looked like a pretty fucking clear lane right to the end zone.
I can't.
Maybe he was out of gas.
I can't keep
Maybe.
saying it.
I mean,
I'm gonna say it. Lamar Jackson.
Max
still the
Crosby
most
had a
overrated player in
huge,
football.
huge third down fucking sack in that game right at the end there.
You can't tell me Lamar Jackson looked good yesterday.
Well, I mean, I'm going to tell you what. I thought the Ravens' offensive line was getting fucking manhandled up front.
Listen to me. I know how badly you want to.
What are you talking about, dude?
The black hole, Max Crosby.
I'm
I
saying,
agree.
I thought that the Ravens' offensive line could not give Derrick Henry any fucking
They
room to
couldn't.
run.
They couldn't.
I mean,
But,
how many? What did Henry have?
18 for 84 and a touchdown.
Okay, is that
He had
the
5
game
yards,
last?
5
The
yards
game the
to
week
carry.
before, he was a fucking utter monster that was unstoppable.
I'm aware. And again, J.K. Dobbins went for 135 against them the week prior. So I don't know.
Yeah,
But Lamar, the pick was horrendous. And it was in a horrendous place. And it was a bad decision. The lateral at the end of the game, it was wide fucking open. You are the best running quarterback the league has probably ever seen. You're going to pitch out of the game when
I didn't
sorry.
understand that. I
It's-
thought he was going to run it all the way.
He did not look good yesterday. His throws were not crisp. Lamar Jackson ain't. I'm not going to say ain't it, but he is not this top 5 guy. I'm sorry, it's not there for me. I've been saying it since last year. It's not there. When the game is on the line and he's in a big position, it's a fucking choke job. It's a fucking choke job. The pick was a choke job. They were in control up until the last 10 minutes of that game, and he choked that game away.
Yeah.
Does this change anybody's mind on the Raiders?
No.
I agree.
Shout out to Carl G.
Good win for them. They needed the win.
It's a good win.
It's a great win. For
It's a
them.
good win. And Minshew is playing better than I expected. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. There's
This,
one.
they got some momentum now. Let's see what happens this week going forward.
You said something about how Derrick Henry couldn't run the ball. The Raiders can't run the football. They cannot
Of
run the
course,
football.
you gave away your running back.
Zamir White looked awful.
Listen, their offensive line wasn't protected. They can't run block for shit, but they can pass block, and that's going to get them some success. But
Can I tell you something?
It'll wind up biting you at the end.
The Ravens defense didn't do anything for me yesterday either. They weren't able to get home.
Yeah,
Minshew had plenty of time.
yeah.
The run stop, yes, but I think that's shitty running backs and a shitty offensive line, run block for the Raiders rather than giving the Ravens flowers for run stop yesterday, personally. Okay, we got another dumpster fire to discuss here. The Russell Wilson revenge game that Russell Wilson didn't play in. The Steelers headed to Mile High to play the Broncos. Bo Nix picks the game away, and the Steelers win 13-6. Justin Fields now 2-0, and the Steelers are atop their division still. Thoughts? Bo Nix, Justin Fields, any of it? I mean, Fields didn't do anything to fuck that game up and didn't look all that bad.
That was key.
And they weren't able to run the ball, and he finally got a touchdown.
I mean, they tried to run the ball. They kept at it.
They tried.
But, that Denver defense is a little better than what people think they are.
Denver's offense is bad. It's bad.
I feel bad for Nix because he doesn't really have a true number one receiver there.
You don't like Josh Reynolds?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, you
It's
see
crazy.
his report.
Josh Reynolds was wide receiver
Well-
4 here and had 90 yards yesterday.
Right, and he's 2 there, and
That's not good enough.
smashing it out.
Yeah, that's not good enough.
Their offense has no talent. That's it in a nutshell.
I agree.
And I think that no matter how much Sean Payton you toss it at it, it's still not going to be there. In Pittsburgh, I will say Pittsburgh's defense, in my opinion, right now looks like the best defense in football. And I know that's stereotypical.
No, it usually is when it's healthy.
No,
But,
they're
I mean,
usually
my
top
God.
5 all the time.
They are
Them,
fantastic.
the Ravens.
Let's take a temperature check on Fields real quick. Any shot in hell?
If I was the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm 2-0. My offense isn't getting going, but it doesn't really matter because Fields isn't making mistakes. Right now, let me look at the schedule here. Right now, going up against the Chargers next week with my defense, I'm playing Justin.
That I want to see.
I'm playing Justin Fields against the Chargers. I'm playing Justin Fields at Indianapolis in 2 weeks because my defense can win me both of those games. And I think right now with Fields playing clean football and doing just enough to get it done.
I don't think you make the change unless Russ is 100%.
Well, even if Russ is 100% and Fields isn't making mistakes, do you put Russell Wilson in there and risk him
No,
pissing games away?
You put him in there
Because you're not winning games big enough to be able to make mistakes.
Russ is a better quarterback than Fields.
I don't care. I'm not
Let's
making
not kid ourselves there.
Those guys played for Fields yesterday.
Okay.
What do you think?
You need it's the same principle as Malik Willis. Like, it's cool. You can win a week here and there by doing that. But what did Fields have? 120 passing yards or something?
Yeah,
like
but
that? No, that's the Denver Broncos.
if you try to do any more, you're going to fuck up the system. I thought Chicago should have kept Justin Fields. So I might be the wrong guy to ask about this, but he's playing clean football. They're doing just enough to get the job done, and your defense can easily win you the next 2 games.
Let me ask you a really good question. What would Justin Fields look like on that Chicago offense? Hey,
What, the current one?
Hold on. Yeah, with Marvin Harrison. Think about that. You brought Keenan Allen in. You brought the kid from Carolina in.
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore. How would they look with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Justin Fields still quarterback? And then you could have used them other picks on defense instead of and made your defense an elite defense, a top fucking 5 defense.
You got to wait that one out. You got to wait it out.
Just saying. I'm just putting it out there.
You got to wait that one out.
I don't know. I mean, you have it's not as good as what's maybe currently going in Chicago. Not like that matters either. But he's got pass catchers right now, Justin Fields in Pittsburgh, and he's got arguably the best defense
come
at the
on. You
moment.
think those guys in Pittsburgh
No, they don't.
better than the
No,
guys
you're
in
right.
Chicago?
You're
Not
right.
even close.
You're right, but like I like Najee Harris and Jalen Warren more than I like Roshan Johnson and DeAndre Swift, and I like George Pickens. I don't like him more than maybe DJ Moore, but I like
Keenan
George
Allen's
Pickens.
George Pickens.
When he plays, Keenan Allen's great, but no, I don't. I mean, he had a lot of
Marvin
this.
Harrison Jr. instead of
I just don't
Caleb
think
Williams.
I don't just as much as people are walking around today thinking Bryce Young isn't going to be a quarterback in the league for whatever reason.
No, I
it's-
think they're wrong on that.
I think it's potentially wrong, but the body of work is there on Justin Fields. He's had every chance in the world, and you can't win no matter what. If he's winning like the 2 games here and there right now, you can't win with 120 pass yards. I don't care who you're playing. He needs to go out and have this ballsy game, and he's never had that. Russ has had it
Let's
before.
throw football.
You know, the schedule has shaped up nicely for Fields here. Like, good for him. He capitalized on the start, but you really need to show a little more if you want to win that division, no matter how bad it's down right now with
Right.
the 2-0-2 teams. You need to show a little more. That's why I'm not worried about Cincinnati. Different story, but that's why I'm not worried about Baltimore. You know, like this division, it's there for the taking. All they got to do is
Right.
beat those teams twice, and
Two things. One, are we going to see Jarrett Stidham?
no,
In place of who?
Bo Nix.
no, because there's a
No.
body of work,
No, he's going to keep running with him.
and
Are
those
we
are
going to
two
see Zach
defenses.
Wilson?
Those are two good defenses that he played against.
Absolutely.
The Seattle defense is really good, and then obviously the Pittsburgh defense is amazing. So, I don't think so right now.
All right, I want to move on.
Don't stunt his growth.
I want to move on. My number two thing, because I had two things. Did you say you were more worried about Cincinnati than you are Baltimore?
I'm still more worried about Cincinnati than I am about Baltimore.
As we go into this game, me personally, I am not worried about Cincinnati at all going forward. I think that they are,
They always start slow.
but they didn't yesterday.
I still think the
should've won
Chiefs.
that game.
I think the Chiefs played like shit yesterday. I think the Chiefs had a very poor game yesterday, and they still Mahomes did out of their ass in the end.
Mahomes did out of their ass.
Well, you know.
Chiefs played the Bengals at Arrowhead. Chiefs come out on top of this one 26-25 at the last second. Harrison Butker field goal after Evan McPherson missed one. I will agree with you to the extent that Patrick Mahomes did nothing to impress me yesterday. And now they lose Pacheco. Cincinnati has two.
Travis Kelce had one catch yesterday.
Yeah, one catch.
And they won.
Cincinnati, to me, has two massive glaring issues right now. Number one, Jamar Chase doesn't look like he wants to be there. And he's playing as such. Number two, Cincinnati does not have a serviceable running back rostered and cannot run the football. Those are the two biggest problems.
That's offensive line. That's not the backs.
It's the backs, dude. You let Mixon walk and bring in Zach Moss. He's dog shit.
It's the same thing as letting Saquon walk and bringing in Devin Singletary.
Dog
It's
shit.
the same exact thing.
Same thing as letting Josh Jacobs walk and bringing in Zamir White. You let this guy go and you had no plan to replace him. And I'm sorry. Zach Moss ain't going to get the job done there because their offensive line ain't that great. Those, for me, are the two biggest issues with Cincinnati. I thought their defense had a pretty decent game. Trey Hendrickson looked really, really good. I'm not.
I watched my man get fucking tackled by his neck trying to sack Mahomes, and they didn't call it. They didn't throw a flag on it. In fact, Mahomes kind of ran out of his grasp.
I don't even want to go.
It's like, what the fuck? Dude?
I don't want to go down that road.
But it's true.
I know.
true.
I know.
I mean, here it's just like
The
with
flag came out so
just
late.
like with the Ravens, that the tackles aren't at the butt of the center.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen it the week before that Baltimore's getting fucking flagged on it, and fucking Kansas City did.
Yeah, the guy that?
Oh yeah, dude. They're
a foot and a
right.
half behind.
Their fucking left tackle was literally fucking 5 yards
in the back.
in the backfield.
I know.
It's just
I know.
a joke. Some people get the calls, some people don't.
I agree. So you said that you didn't think the Chiefs played that well yesterday. I agree. Are you at all concerned with the Chiefs?
No. They play in an easy division. They'll figure it out.
I feel great about Cincinnati going forward.
And
I
who
think
do
you're
they
gonna-
have next week.
I think you're going to see this game that we saw yesterday again on a grand stage. Personally, I don't think Cincinnati's going to miss much from here. They have Washington.
Well, look at Kansas City, man. They're like the Patriots, the new run Patriots.
How did this
You get
game?
a one-way ticket to the fucking playoffs every year.
How did Cincinnati at Washington end up on Monday Night Football this week?
I don't know, but that's a good. If you're Joe Burrow trying to get back on track, there's
you
nothing
go.
better than the
And
worst
then they are-
secondary in football.
At Carolina the following week.
There you go.
Good for them.
And then they play the Ravens at
Next thing
home.
you know, you're 2-2.
Then they play the Ravens at home.
The Monday night game is the definition of must win for Cincinnati.
Oh, without question.
And I'll feel a little better if they do win that game because it's not crazy easy, but
Yeah.
hypothetically,
They
Burrow,
should steamroll Washington.
I don't know about steamroll, but Burrow should look good and they should eat
Yeah,
in that
against a
game.
bad-
Jamar
Against
Chase,
that secondary,
Jamar Chase should play well. They might get Higgins back next week.
yes, they should.
that
fucking-
should all add
Yeah,
up.
the Higgins thing is huge.
I would just like to say, my prop bet of the week did hit.
Sure did.
What's his fucking name?
Yosivas,
Andrei Iosivas. He did not have one. He had two,
the pride of Princeton.
and I had the balls to bet that. Just saying. Just saying.
Heavy in the chat, Uncle Sam, because you said this pre-show. Heavy. Do we know who Heavy is? Shout out to Heavy.
Are you picking up Kareem in
I
fantasy?
can't see anything.
Heavy in the chat is asking, are you picking up Kareem Hunt in fantasy? Uncle Sam already did.
Uncle Sam did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if you're a Pacheco owner. Without question, if you're a
They're
Pacheco
saying
owner.
4 weeks.
Yeah, you go out and get him. If he's out there and
Yeah.
you own
What are
Pacheco,
they going
go
to go
get him.
with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's a healthy scratch?
Elizabeth, I know you're listening right now, too. I had this conversation with her this morning. I think P. Ryan's the safest bet. I think because he
yeah.
does everything. He does everything they ask, but it's hard to predict. It's going to be by committee. Like there's going to be weeks where
Right.
Or the
Edwards
big white
Helaire-
dude. Who's a big white dude with the long
That's who
hair?
she thought. I can't remember his name.
Is it?
Strong. Something strong or
I don't know.
steel.
I-
Steel.
I like Kareem Hunt one because he's already been there, and Kareem Hunt probably still has more explosive play capability than P. Ryan.
And it's the same offense that he left.
It's
too.
exactly. He's hopping right back.
Right.
Sunday Night Football. Texans hosted the Bears in Houston. The roof was open.
90
The roof
degrees.
was open.
That stadium sucks, by the way.
Energy.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Well, yeah, you were there from Michigan, right?
Yeah, it's
Dumpster?
poor location, very cookie cutter. I could see it being cool and like you know they always get the Saturday primetime playoff game and it's always in
Yeah.
the afternoon. I could see it being cool when it's cool outside and they can open that window. Like I could see that being a fun place, but I wasn't a fan. No character.
This is going to be a good game to talk about here. Texans win this one 19-13. Honestly, and I know this is going to surprise, my two takeaways from this game are Houston's defense is really, really, really good, and Chicago's defense is better than I thought.
Chicago's defense is very good.
They're good.
Chicago's defense is better than I thought, and Houston's defense is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Caleb Williams was disturbed every time he dropped back. Every time he dropped back.
I think that's also a problem with Chicago's offensive line.
I agree with that.
I think
as
they're
well.
not giving him a chance, and they're not effectively running the ball, which is really going to hurt Caleb Williams because that's
Right.
what he's like. His bread and butter at USC was play action, you know. And if he can't utilize his legs a little bit better because he can't step up in the pocket or
Well,
whatever.
Danielle Hunter was a monster yesterday.
Game
man.
wrecker. So was
And you know what? He was
So
probably,
was
probably worth every fucking penny that they paid for him.
so was Will Anderson.
Will Anderson
Yeah.
was also a
Will
game
Anderson was huge in this.
Their whole
game.
front seven, 2-0, everyone was just
Yeah.
felt like they were all eaten. the
They
entire time.
did. They did. Chicago was unable to run the football.
And did oh no, never mind.
What?
Okay. No.
But I will say this: Houston had a really hard time running the football yesterday. I know Mixon got banged up.
Houston had a hard time doing everything.
Houston
yesterday.
had a hard time doing everything. Nico Collins ate again per usual, but Houston didn't look. Their offense did not look world beating yesterday, and you got to give props to Chicago's defense there. I'm gonna say this much: Caleb Williams, when he's deacon dunking it down the field, doesn't look awful. But Chicago's biggest issue, they've got to try and protect this guy better. Because if you want to open up this offense and you've got a Dunze and you've got Moore and you're going to get Keenan Allen back and you want to start to move the ball down the field and you can't run it, you've got to give this guy a little bit more time. You've got to. 'Cause he's just, it's not pretty. Nothing about it's pretty right now.
It takes a second for these rookies.
I agree with that too.
It
He's
takes-
very green.
It takes a second, and not that they were never really like in it, but the last thing you want is his fourth quarter, the 2 picks. Like that's just a rookie quarterback in his second ever
Trying to
game
push it.
on the road in prime time, not playing with a lead.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you can only ask so much of their defense. But I think it's going to come down to, like, you want to do enough early on to put yourself in good position. The only reason they were in that game is because their defense, I mean, I thought they did a number on Stroud yesterday. And Stroud still looked good. Stroud was still sharp.
Yeah.
But they just kept him out of the end zone, which is, I mean, that's a good recipe for any team. Even the play Nico Collins scored on, it was like one of those get off my dick plays. Like, he just went buck wild.
He ended up getting an unnecessary roughness call for flinging somebody off.
No. He got the unnecessary roughness call the play before.
Oh, was
and
it?
then he came in and took out all his anger on that play. Like, it took 4 guys and they still couldn't stop him.
Oh, yeah. But I didn't. Houston's defense is what impressed me yesterday more so than their offense. We have a Monday night game tonight, dubbed the Battle of the Birds. The Eagles are headed down to Atlanta to play the Falcons. Eagles 5.5-point favorite in this game. They are on the road, correct?
No, it's in Philly.
Oh, that's right. Because
Jason Kelsey.
Jason Kelsey broke the internet again today by being in Philadelphia. So in Philly, Eagles hosting the Falcons. Eagles are a 5.5-point favorite. Over/unders 45.5. Uncle Sam, you want to go first here?
I'm going the over and the Eagles.
I'm going the under.
And
And the
my
Eagles.
Saquon Barkley over 100 yards.
So
Yeah.
you're taking the alt line of 100 yards?
Yep. And then my anytime touchdown is going to be Drake London.
Yeah, so A.J. Brown out in this game. Let me roll down to injury report here. A.J. Brown out. That's really, I think, the only one of any.
I'm with you, Uncle Sam. I have the Eagles to win, Eagles to cover. I also like the over. I want to see Atlanta. I want to see what I'm the things I'm out of what we're watching tonight when we have that conversation. I'm watching Kirk Cousins. I want Kirk Cousins to be good. I want him to rebound. If he is good, my prop is Drake London over 4.5 receptions. I also have Ray McLeod over 28.5 receiving yards. Shout out to
Ray McLeod.
Shout out to Ray McLeod.
I'm going Eagles. Eagles minus 5.5. I'm going to take the under in this game, though. I think you're going to see more defense than expected here. My touchdown prop is Saquon for 2, especially with A.J. Brown out in this game. I think they're going to just pound the rock. And I like Hurts for under 230.5 passing yards for the exact same reason. Realistically, if Atlanta, who has a pretty good secondary, can keep a lid on Devonta Smith, Philadelphia's going to run the ball down their throat all game and come out of this one with a win. Bruce, who do you got?
Eagles in the over.
Eagles in the over. Am I the only one that took the under?
Yeah.
Wow.
That means the under's going to hit and the Falcons are for sure going to win.
It's going to be a Falcons 21-17 win.
No, we had some consensus picks. I mean,
Houston.
Houston we had. We missed on the Lions, of course.
Hold on, let's see.
I had the Seattle. I don't know how it ended up. I had the Patriots on the thing. I picked Seattle to win.
We all took the Jets.
Jets won.
Uncle Sam took the Saints.
Seattle was messed up for all of us, I think.
We all took San Francisco. They lost. We all took the Chargers. There we go. We all took Baltimore. I was the only one who took Pittsburgh.
I took the Raiders to cover that game.
Took the Raiders to cover what game?
That's a Baltimore game.
Yeah, but you picked Baltimore to win.
Yeah, I know.
I see. We all took Houston. We all took Philly. So, we did our player props.
We all took the
picked
Jets.
Huh?
We all took
He
the Jets.
said that?
You
Yeah,
said
we
that?
swept the Jets. We swept the Jets this week. We swept Jets and Chargers were our 2 sweeps.
I'm the only
Everybody
one
else
who
we
took
picked
the
was
Rams.
lost.
Uncle Sam had New Orleans.
Uncle Sam did have New Orleans. Who took the Rams?
I did.
Yeah, that was stupid.
Yeah.
Anyways. Anything
I
else?
took Arizona.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I took Arizona too.
Anything
guys
else
all
to
took
add?
Arizona?
Any news and notes
No.
before we wrap up today's show? Why, for the life of me, did I think there was one more thing I wanted to throw in there and I don't remember it now? No, I think that's it. I think we covered it. It might have been Jason Kelsey. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. Make sure to follow our socials, Instagram and Twitter at Tip Balls, TikTok at Tip Balls Podcast. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Music, remember to check us out on YouTube and remember to click subscribe so you get notified when we go live. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, sometime around 5. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will be back on Wednesday with Fantasy Frenzy.